Hello and welcome to an episode of On a Lookout. In this week's episode, we're looking at NFL quarterbacks, so making some plays, going where they ain't, sort of scenario similar to last week's with the basketball. Obviously, as usual, this data is brought to us from marketmovesapp.com, and if you want this data at your fingertips to help you identify sort of plays like this, head over to marketmovesapp.com, use the code Mahomes for a 14-day free trial and 20% off any plan you choose for life. But yeah, without further ado, let's get into this data. Let's look at some of the sort of quarterback rookies that we can get into. Good pricing, especially while they're not talking about it at the moment because obviously NBA playoff season is here. So yeah, we'll look at the sort of all-time data for these cards in the last sort of 2 months since the NFL season finished. We'll just see if this now is a good time to strike while the iron's hot, as they say. Well, let's get into it. We're going to start with this chart here. Is the Caleb Williams rookie Prism Silver. Obviously it's number 3, it's 2024, number 301. We're looking at the raw PSA 9 and a PSA 10. We also have Drake May, who again people were very high on his raw PSA 9 and PSA 10 of his Prism Silver, number 329. If you're ever looking for these, here's the last 180 days, which is pretty much when this card came out. So it's like the earliest data. Don't put it going back to 365 days or data days because it's not been out that long. But as you can see, since the beginning of it coming out, it is down, considerably. If you look at the Caleb Williams PSA 10, is only down 8% from the all-time data. But if you look at the 9, for instance, it's down 39%, and look at raw, it's down 55%. As you can see with the pop there, the PSA 9 is 518, PSA 10 is 147. If you look at Drake May, he has a higher pop in PSA 10s. PSA 9 pop of just 361, but look at the percentage here. His PSA 10 Prism Silver rookie is down 42% to $476. So if you look at his little chart there, you can see that fall off, which means you probably identify that as a decent sale if you think the Pats can do anything at this off season, this season coming forward. With the hype, that's what they're trying to sell it. It's buy now this sort of price, hoping it's back up close there for the September return of the league. So let's look at the last 60 days, last 2 months since the league sort of finished. And as you can see, what's interesting here now is the PSA 10 of Caleb Williams is down 23%. So you can see from the graph there, it's close to 1,000, now it's 700. So there's obviously potential room for that to grow. Do I think that's a $1,000 card when the season comes? I do, if you can pick that up for 700, but it's very obviously quite a high price and it's semi-risky, but I think they've built a good team around him. To get $300. The Drake May, for instance, down 476. That's just in the last 60 days. Could that go back up to 800? It's not unfeasible. Could just 750 area. As you can see, at the beginning of the 2 months ago, it was just over 750. Now it's below 500 at 476. So that's again room for growth there. And next up we have Bo Nix, a 2024 Prism number 309, again silver, raw PSA 9 and PSA 10, and we have Jaden Daniels. Same again with the raw PSA 9 and PSA 10. Interesting, so Bo Nix down 57% on all-time data. Jaden Daniels down 35%. Big sort of difference in the pricing though. For $428 for the Bo Nix PSA 10, $1,230 for the PSA 10 of Jaden Daniels. Do I think them plays here? Personally, no. I do not. I think if you look at Jaden Daniels, for instance, very high price points, and even just a raw, $224. It's pretty much halfway to a Bo Nix or Drake May PSA 10. You're easily getting a few PSA 9s, which you can make money on. I mean, look at the Bo Nix PSA 9 there, down to 62, less than raw. It's 64% down since it's come out. If you can pick up a couple of them at $62, you definitely would do that right now. Over spending 4 times as much on the raw of Jaden Daniels. I think if the Jaden Daniels, if you come back at 9, look at that, it's $6. You're gambling massively on a card that, looking at the pop report there, of 192 for 10 and not 471 for 9s, it's probably going to come back at 9 at best. So risky game. So I would not advise to go for the Jaden Daniels. I mean, look at that as well. They're down 21%, last 2 months because no one's talking about his well as achieved, whereas Bo Nix is now 38% in the last 2 months for the PSA 10s. But yeah, these ones personally, maybe the Bo Nix, if you believe in Denver, what they can do. But yeah, Jaden is a bit of a riskier play because of the price point. Being in at 1,200. He's going to go back up to 1.6 when the season starts. Possible, but I don't know. 1.2 is a very high price point to get in there already. And then last but not least, some little sneakier plays. Again, to talk about going where they ain't. So this is the 2023 rookies. We go for the first pick in Bryce Young. His 2023 Prism Silver, again, raw PSA 9 and PSA 10. That's number 311. And then we've got CJ Stroud, same again, raw PSA 9 and PSA 10, number 339. As you can see, some big percentages down. PSA 10 silver, CJ Stroud down 78% since it came out. And we look at that graph over there, nearly $2,000. Now it's down to $459. Bryce Young only down 9% from $196 now. So not as bad. But again, people aren't talking about him, and he had a good end to the season. So look, last 2 months. So it was interesting there last 3 months. So Stroud actually up 7%, 479. So maybe people are already starting to get onto CJ Stroud because these cards are so low. As we saw there, nearly $2,000 for that PSA 10. Stroud had a good end to the year, but his PSA 10 is silver is still down. 11%, so under $200, which we talked about a minute ago for Jaden Daniels, right? His raw card is over $200. So would you want a Bryce Young PSA 10, or a raw Jaden Daniels? Interesting. What's also interesting is the pop count. Big pop counts in these PSA 10s already.